so much continuity going on. I mean, I guess how gratifying is it to have that continuity both on the coaching staff and largely with your personnel as well?
It's always a good thing, when it comes to the O-line. This is the time of the year that we were able to, get all out here and run around a little bit. Some guys were out more than others, this year, but it was good. Just being in the room together was awesome for us, and it's always a great time to be around here. And as a coaching staff, too, it's always good to be around each other. I mean, it's a daily grind, but have fun at it. And when I use that grind, this time of year, it's how can we get better as a coaching staff? And then we have a lot of fun. It's fun coming to work every day, seeing each other. So, but we do need this break from each other. I need my break from Coach Johnson, so it's coming up.
What's Kevin bring to the room and to the line? I know it's hard, but yeah.
You mean Zeitler?
Yeah.
Kevin Zeitler?
Yeah.
No, I call him I call him Kevin and Zeitler, so I go back and forth. But Kevin caught me off guard. I'm like, who's Kevin? He's got a lot of experience, going on 13 years is a lot. And even guys are always learning from each other. He's learning from us. He's doing new things, a little bit of new technique. Maybe he hasn't been asked in a while to do. Offensively, we do a lot here. We're a lot of variety, and it's been fun for him. Some of it can be challenging for him, which is good to keep you engaged. And so it's been good for the room. And these guys get along, they gel. And he's been professional, and I think that's what guys get to see. There's reasons that guys have been in the league. You got Decker, you got Graham going on 9 years, and he's going on 13. I mean, Frank's going on 7, and there's reasons why people make it in the league, and they get to see their daily routine, not just how good of an athlete they are and stuff like that, but it's the daily routine for those guys.
Zeitler's done it at a high level for a long time. He wasn't out here a ton, in terms of doing stuff to see. Almost as he needs some of that, for that matter, Frank and Taylor too, just that continuity. So.
Yeah, we'll really get it when training camp comes, up front. When the pads go on, we like to joke around. This is like being in underwear for us up front, D-line and O-line. It's tough, so that's where we're going to get it. But the communication and how people see things, and when they were out here working together, how things are done. For somebody like Zeitler coming here, I might be just a little bit different than what he was doing it in Baltimore, or I say it a little bit different. It means the exact same thing. So that communication part was big for him being around. And then for everybody to hear it, the new guys that we brought in. But for the most part, besides the rookies, it was only Kevin. So it's been a good thing. It's just, the language we use. And that's the thing, how we identify things. And that's what he needed this year.
You've got a relatively defined starting lineup. I know you don't earn it every day, but that group seems pretty set. You've got really interesting competition, a lot of young players, particularly on the interior. You added 2, you brought back 2, with Moody and Mahogany. Just what do you see in the early stage of the competition? What do you need to see from those guys through training camp to set themselves apart in that mix?
I think it's first thing is the consistency of that player. That every play, what you're going to get, and the physicality part's going to play itself out once these pads come on, and we really got to start moving people and protecting and keeping the depth of the pocket. So, but what are we getting every day, every play, and that consistency is the biggest thing. And that's something I've talked to all those guys about is, you're not always going to be the best out there, but how consistent, what are you daily and day in and day out, and per play, what we're getting. So I'm excited to see it. I'm glad we got Muti here and all that. And we brought in a lot of competition. And, we do have our, you would say, hey, these are our starting 5. But, what's great about those guys, they know those young guys are always pushing for that seat too. So we're going to challenge those 5 up front to be better. And behind there, who's your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And then you got your practice squad guys, maybe you have 10 linemen on the roster sometimes. But, that's something they don't have to think about. That's something they let their work do the speaking, and that's what we're excited for.
Coach, was Manu swimming a little bit when he first got here with that jump, and what kind of progression did you see him make during the spring?
You know what? I've been very pleased with him. He's learning a lot. There's a lot of just things that we're changing on him that you're used to doing it for 4-6 years, where 4 years here, up there in college and in high school and all that. So there's some things we're asking him, but he's coachable and he wants to learn, and that's the good thing. He's open-minded, and there's a lot of stuff I'm very pleased with, and he's going to come along. It's going to be exciting to see him grow, and he wants to be good, and he is a hard worker, and he's got a lot of talent. It's just now it's like, how quickly can he just go out there and function without thinking? And I think that's what all of us athletes need to do, is once you stop to thinking, just let your athleticism take over. The game slows down for you. And I've seen in the last, however many weeks we've been doing this, stuff start to slow down for him, and he can just start using his ability to go out there and play.
I'm sure you challenged Colby in certain ways this offseason to find ways to get better, other than the haircut. How have you seen him grow between the end of last season to what he's brought back to the facility?
Yeah, he's definitely taken the next step forward. But like I said, until training camp for offensive linemen, it's hard to always go. But he's taking the right steps. He worked on some stuff we talked about in the offseason, challenging him more. We're going to move him around a little bit more probably, stuff like that, or positionally flex, because he's gifted enough to do that. So he's in a lot of good competition with those guys around him, but what he had to work on so far, he's shown. He went back home and he got better at what he needed to, and so I'm excited to see when this summer he comes back how much better he is in this next month.
We have seen that with the right tackle and guard spot, so you feel good about his ability to play inside and outside of this league now?
I do, because he is a smart enough player to do it. If it's somebody that can't function well enough to do that, or they're thinking too much, and that's where I keep talking about thinking. Once you don't have to think anymore, what's my assignment here? You have the ability to do that, and you saw it last year just as a rookie. I'll be totally honest, we never even threw him at tackle in practice, and then we had a couple tackles go down during the game. You only address so many offensive linemen. It's like, all right, you're the next best choice. Go out there and play in the Atlanta game. And he did a pretty good job just bumping out, not taking one rep, just using what he did in college and his ability. And just he knew the plays. Just the technique was a little bit raw out there, but he did a good job. So I'm excited for him. There's a lot of competition. And I always just say, when you're not the starter, though, sometimes you got to be able to handle multiple roles. That makes sure the value for us or any team more valuable, because you dress 8 linemen on game day. So
I want to ask one, Nate, just real quick. He got the big contract this offseason. How, if at all, does that change him?
I don't think it changed him at all. It definitely didn't change him in a bad way. The great thing about himself, he stays grounded and humbled. He definitely earned it. I'm so happy for him and his family for that. But he's still hungry as he was before he got that contract. Even out here, I get to see him on a daily basis work, and he just continues to work. It's fun to watch him and Hutch go versus each other all the time, even in underwear, because they're making each other better. But he's always grinding himself, trying to get better. And the thing I get to see him, though, he's coaching guys. So Kobe's been playing a lot of right tackle this year and doing drills. It's like he's coaching Kobe, just like I'm coaching him, or giving him little new things here to do and focus on. So he's like having another coach out there, even though he's a young player. So it's exciting, and I'm glad for him, and continue to, for his success. And, he wants that Super Bowl just like all of us, and you got to work at it. It's not ever given, so you got to go out and grind for it, and it's hard to get back there.
He's 23, I think, still, right?
Yeah, he's 23. I remind him all the time he's 23. So I tell him he doesn't have to stretch or anything. He's good. He can just walk out. So.
But I asked that to say, what's still in front of him? He's still so young. A lot of people would regard him as the best or one of the best already.
There's a lot. You got to prove yourself every day. It's what have you done for me lately here? It's not, well, I did that in the past, right? So every day I'm proving not only to myself but to everybody. I'm still can be one of the best, and that's where he's going. Not settling for just being good. You know, I think that's challenging him and himself, and you know, good's not always good enough. You know, so you got to continue to challenge it, and he has the ability, you know, to become one of these really good players. I've played with one that was a great player at one point, you know, and is, and you know, a great player in Joe Thomas. He reminds me a lot of Joe Thomas, just how he prepares, how, you know, he takes care of himself, his mental mind makeup, and going out there on that daily grind to become a good player or a great player like Joe, you know. So that's what I get to see, like that daily competition within himself and with everybody else out here. Like, it doesn't stop.
You see him as being first ballot Hall of Fame track like Joe?
We're a long ways away from that. You know, that's a long ways. I'm sure himself would ever say that. I would never want to put that on him, but just let your job, your work do the talking. And I think Panay's always done that. As a college coach, I got a chance to go watch him play as a high schooler. I actually tried to recruit him to UCLA. Failed on that one to get him there, but I told him we drafted him instead. But he's always done that, so I had to watch him there. And then when he went to Oregon for that brief couple years, I mean, his play does the talking. I think here, if you're around him daily and get to see it working out and practice, and that's the reason he performs at a high level, because his practice habits relate to him out there in the field. And that goes for, I think, a lot of guys on our team too, not just for him. You watch the really good ones, how they practice, and it translates to the games, and it can slow down for you in a game. You know, I always say practice sometimes is harder. You know.
Going back to Manu, what do you think is what's been the biggest development of these so far in terms of
For Manu?
Yeah.
Getting off on the cadence. You know, that's different. It's different, but there's a lot. And it's baby steps. Like, to some people, it's like, well, that wasn't a lot. Just the getting off on the cadence was one thing. Not being late. You're a step behind here, and you're just a little bit late. That D tackle right there has already beat you across the line. So that was one of his first things. Like, hey, just learn the cadence, and every quarterback's a little bit different. So you're gonna have to understand. You got to anticipate stuff. So that was one, and there's plenty other ones though. But he's done a really good job, and I like where he's at, and he's going to be fun to coach this summer and see what he can do.
Thanks, Hank. Good to have Shane back in the mix.
Yeah, it's really good to have him back. And you know, he hasn't missed a beat. He looks like himself out there, so it's nice to have him back out.
What is the process when you come back from an injury like that? You miss so much time, and maybe you miss the evolution of the offense or just things like that. You're trying to kind of get him back up to speed.
Yeah, I think the first thing is just to make sure the body's moving the same way it did before the injury, and that he's shown. So it's just getting back into the football stuff, you know, the stuff that you can't mimic when you're just working out. So he's done a good job. He's always in his playbook, knows what to do. It's just kind of the how to do it and get back up to speed with some of that stuff.
What is the focus this time of year? Obviously, it's such a physical position, but you're not allowed to be too physical out here. So, what's kind of the goal?
Yeah, just really dial in the technique stuff. Some of the things that you know we come up with as a group that we need to work on, both in the running game and the passing game, and just kind of try to hone those things in. We can still go through technique and do all those things, even though we're doing a walkthrough. It can still be, you know, just a mindset and thought of when we're doing the walkthrough stuff, even though it's not physical.
Brock Wright signed a nice little extension over the summer. Just on a personal level, what was how happy were you for to see him get that done? On a selfish level, maybe, how excited are you to have him back?
Yeah, I mean, I was fired up for him and for us. I think he kind of embodies what we want the players to be around here. You know, he's smart, tough. He brings it every day. He just does it the right way, and just a guy that you want on your team.
Your dad talked this offseason about fullback position. Obviously, you guys don't have a pure fullback, but he mentioned the tight end room is somewhere where they might mine that talent. Have you had those discussions with any of your guys in the room, and do you see potential with some of them?
Yeah, right now, really, it's all hands on deck with it. And, you know, I got a deep room with all the guys that we have in there. So, hey, we all have to know it, and we'll see how it plays out through camp here.
When it comes to Sam, what are you looking for from him this time of year, and then also over the next couple of months as you kind of get ready for a year or two?
Yeah, just taking the next steps with some of the little intricacies of the position, the technique stuff, in both phases, run and pass. We just continue to develop that stuff, and he's obviously well on his way there.
I know with a guy like him where he shows that much potential, do you give any extra care or attention to maybe their development plan? Like I know he's going to tight end U, but when he has a season like he has, is there any thoughts of how can we get him in front of even some better talent and improve that game?
No, I think it's just continue to stay on the path we're on and make sure we're detailing the things that we need to detail with him.
A player like James Mitchell, how have you seen his comfort level grow and what he can do for this offense in training camp this year?
Yeah, James did a nice job. When he had the opportunity to play, he made some plays late in the season, came in Minnesota, did some things. We just got to continue on that same path and trajectory and see where it takes us this year.
I think this time last year we were talking about James, and we said that second year out of the ACL was really, really important in terms of his development. So even the stuff that maybe we didn't see on the field, was there a part of his game that you saw kind of develop, hit the ground running once he was fully past that injury?
Yeah, I think you kind of saw him, develop and get more comfortable as the season went on with it. He did a nice job in the running game, and like I said, some of the things that you noticed when he came in and played in Minnesota, he made some plays and did some things. We didn't really miss a beat with him in there, and he did a nice job.
Just curious, obviously you guys have things that you talk about with each player after the season, things you want to see that improve. When it comes to JMO specifically, have you seen him adopt those things that you guys talked about, and where have you seen his biggest progression over the spring?
Yeah, I mean, just about everything that we've talked about for him improving and helping our offense, he's hit. And one of the biggest things was just his strength in terms of route running and not getting pushed off the spot or whatever. You see that show up more and more, and which has benefited us as an offense, and you can see him kind of taking it to another level, and it helps him even getting in and out of his route, the strength that he's built in his legs and stuff. So you can see the difference.
Good for him to go against Carlton then in that regard.
Oh yeah, at Carlton, I love it. The DBs we brought in, because now it just takes us to a whole nother level, especially with Carlton, his length, and he's not a guy you can just one step. You got to really move him off the spot and get going. So that takes time as a wide receiver, but you got to have strength to be able to do it, and they've been able to do that so far. All of them really have against him, and he's been challenging them over and over again. So it's great.
Beyond the play strength, what were the other sort of recommendations for him?
Well, we should leave it at that one. That's the only one that needs to be out there. There's a lot of them, but all that he's hit, and it's been great. Just about where he was the end of the year as to where he is now and how he's gotten there. Like he's really worked at it.
Obviously, the deep route his speed was obviously a big thing, but we've even noticed in the spring, making some tough catches over the middle, some plays along the sidelines. He really improved that route tree. Do you see him as more of a complete receiver, able to do a lot of things now heading into his third season?
Well, he's always had it. It was just about getting to the spot and the timing of which you're being at the spot and going back to that play strength is what kind of helped that. So the route tree has been there, but now that he has that strength, he can get in and out of his cuts and be in spots quicker than he was, last year, and even obviously the previous year before when he was just trying to get back into it, coming off that ACL. So it's good to see. His route tree has expanded, and we want to continue to help him to expand it because he's definitely going to help us in our offense, much like he has even on last year.
What do you even challenge Antwaan Randle to do to take that next step now?
Well, it's always the challenge that I always speak to him about, and guys who sign these big contracts, that they disappear in a lot of ways and a lot of times. He's not one of those guys, and he hadn't changed in terms of his work ethic and how he comes out and prepares, and that's good to see. So that's really the biggest things. He leads over and over again. So I don't have a whole lot that I have to add to him or the expectation. It's like, man, what you've been doing has been doing great. How do we take it to another level? And it's always the small things. We talk about the film study has went to another level. Hey, how can we increase that? But that biggest thing was, hey, cats get complacent, and you don't see it in him. You haven't seen it in him yet, and I don't expect we will. So I think he's in a good spot to continue to move forward.
What do you think of receiver money just in general these days?
It's crazy, ain't it? Man, I mean, but it's, Yeah, well, 20 years earlier, I probably been playing quarterback too. That's a whole nother deal, whole nother conversation. But that money is I mean, kudos to those guys to be able to get to the point where they're making that type of money. And you know, see some of the cats, they're worth it, like for sure. Especially our guy. Like our guy he gets it. He understands not just ball, but he understands team. Speaking about Saint. So it's good to see him be able to get paid and well deserved.
Josh was a big part of this offense.
Yeah.
What have you liked about the competition that's arising for those 71 targets or whatever it was there, and that number 3 spot kind of guys trying to get those targets?
The excitement comes in is that the door is wide open for those spots, and the excitement it's there because there's some competition that's really truly going on for that spot. So you've seen some guys really make some plays that kind of raise your eyebrows, like, okay, let's try to move them up. Dyrese Fountain made some plays. That was one. Caden came in and made some plays, and I was like, okay. So you see guys making different plays and splashes, but the biggest thing what we know what we lost in Josh. He had some big playability, but he was consistent. Like, he was a consistent guy that we can depend on. So that's what I need our guys to be, and not just the 3rd, 4th, 5th guy, whoever it is, but even Saint and JMO from that standpoint. We always want to be consistent in what we do and have an opportunity to make those plays. But that 3rd guy, whoever it's going to be, and again, even the 4th and 5th guy, those guys got to be consistent. They got to be ready to make the plays over and over again. That's the biggest thing. Alignment assignment, make the play when it comes your way, and like being able to finish. Like, we block downfield. Whether it's the running back who has the ball is thrown, and the receivers catch it, tight ends catch it. We got to go get blocked. So that's a big emphasis for me. Continue to move forward as we get ready for training camp here in some weeks to come.
You mentioned one of the names there. I just want to ask some of you guys that are further down the pursuit depth chart to start this thing. And Isaiah Williams, the undrafted kid, and then Caden. He's making some of these plays downfield. It seems like at the end of every practice. What have you seen from those two with an opportunity there at the back end of the depth chart to maybe make this roster?
Well, the opportunity is there, like I spoke about. But you see what Caden has done. And people may say, well, I really haven't seen what Isaiah has done. Isaiah's made some plays as well. And I think with both of them guys, both of those guys are smart. They understand the offense, and they can kind of spit it back out to you. Now, Caden's been around a little bit more, obviously, but to be able to come in the offense and pick it up as quickly as he has and then going out and apply it on the field and be able to make those plays is a big deal. And the same thing, I can say the same thing about Isaiah in terms of some of the plays that he's make. He makes some moves, runs some routes, and you can tell, okay, this guy got something. And you know it already from the college film, but for him to come out and apply it and do it in this setting and continue to move up has been good. So, again, the door's still open all the way around. That's the way I see it from my guys in my room, and they know it, and it's part of a competition that would never be put to rest. Like, you're always competing, and that's part of it.
How about Fountain? I was thinking about him last week. He was a guy that did some stuff behind closed doors last year. What sort of physical presence can he be? What have you seen from him sort of in that fight for his roster spot?
Well, he's that big body. I mean, you can put him and you can really put him in a category with Donovan, too, just in terms of guys that have a bigger body that can run, do some big boy stuff in terms of running the slants, the short ends, and things of that nature. But he has the opportunity, has the ability to be able to go up and, catch the ball right off the defender's head. And he did that a couple of times in camp and missed a couple here. But you can see it's in there and he can do it. So those type things he needs to continue to do. I always tell those guys, like, those things kind of separate you from, I can run a route, catch a ball, come out the back door. Well, you're trying to run a route, the ball's behind you and it's high. Can you still make that play when that defender's right underneath you? So he's been able to do that, and he needs to continue. Because, again, that's what we talk about from the beginning is the consistency that needs to take place.
How valuable is it to have Lee Raymond in the room, a player that just comes in, does everything day-to-day at a high level?
Yeah, it's awesome to have Khalif Raymond, as I would call him. Khalif is what we need, what I'd love to have in my room, and he's a pillar for sure. And he gets it, he understands it, all the spots. Just put him in wherever, and he gets it and goes. So it's certainly a blessing to be able to have him in the room.
I don't think we've asked
Last one,
about
guys.
Traquan Smith all
Yep.
offseason, but that one of the most experienced guys
Yep.
in your room. Suddenly, what has he brought to the table here in that competition as well?
Well, that experience you talk about, knowing the offense, and that's the other thing too. Like we talk about these guys with experience. Like Donovan's got experience, Trey's got experience. He's played like those are the guys that we're expecting as we go along. Hey, we need to step up, because those spots need to be filled and better sooner than later from that perspective. So again, we got some work cut out for us in our room, just in terms of guys getting better and being in those spots and being ready to go. So, but certainly, again, that competition, that door is open for these guys to be able to come in and get it done.
Thanks, guys.
Well, all right.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Last year, just the growth maybe you had individually as a coach, the opportunity to work in a bigger role and work with Ben. What did that mean for you? How did you feel like you developed as a young coach?
Yeah, I think it was a valuable experience. You come to work and you learn every day from those guys. I mean, Ben is a wealth of knowledge as well as Dan, so you come to work and you think you're working, you're doing the right thing, and you are, and you learn something new every day, and just whether it's helping put the game plan together or just something else that we want to look at or just depended on the week for what direction that we wanted to go. I had a lot of things that I was doing on a weekly basis that were pretty standard and all that, but every week there'd be something else, something new that came up that you just take it and you run with it and you learn from it. So for me, it was a really good learning experience as well.
Another sign that we're doing things that are news. You did have some coordinator opportunities this offseason. I know you want to keep your feet planted in the present, but just what did it mean to have those opportunities? And I guess how excited are you for potential opportunities in the future?
Sure. Yeah. Just like you said, you're always gonna be present where you're at, and I couldn't be happier to be anywhere else than here right now. But yeah, it was great. It was a good opportunity to go talk to some people and be put in the spotlight. Or I shouldn't say spotlight, but kind of put under the fire. And it really just. It made me realize, where your convictions are when you're talking to them. It's because you can't hide it when they just start shooting things off at you. It's like, well, where you're grounded, and you know what you believe in. And the good thing is, I believe in exactly what we're doing here, and so that was nice for me to do that. But it was great. But that wouldn't have happened had we not had the team success that we had here, and really it's a reflection of the guys here and the coaching staff here and the players that we have in the organization. So I'm very thankful for that.
Same question, but just maybe a different angle of it. What's it like to go through that time? To have your name, you worked for this for a long time, I guess, right? And to have your name next to this family, I don't know, how excited are the people around you, I guess, when those opportunities sort of start to come?
Sure. My best friends that I grew up with, that are in my wedding, they're shooting me a text, dude, what's going on, or whatever, and that was cool. That was pretty fun. I just kept it pretty grounded though. Again, but it was cool. It was fine. But again, it was just another opportunity for me to get better.
Does it make you realize how far you've come as a coach, though? In some regards, when they're texting you?
Yeah, it's a little different place than being, on the University of San Diego a few years back. It's we've come a long way in a short amount of time, and we look forward to what we have continuing to build and grow here, and the opportunities that we're going to have here with this team.
You said that process emphasized your core tenets, your beliefs. How much of those did you have coming here? I guess how much of those developed just being around Dan, Ben, and other coaches?
Yeah, and so I would say this, we talk about being a physical, detailed football team, and that's it. Just the feet are cemented in that now. It's not something that was foreign to me when I got here, but if there was ever something that to get cemented in, that's it. That's really what I believe in, and the one thing I would say is that has really what I guess opened my eyes, but something I would say is also explosiveness, the explosive plays and the importance of it, and we're chasing that every week, and so I think that's something that is is again at the forefront of our minds as well, as to, as we're trying to game plan and win these games, is how can we do that as well. So I think that's been something that's been, fostered, I suppose.
Ben talked about that with Josh's departure. He said, I guess he didn't fully realize the impact of Josh as an explosive play waiting to happen, and that's the challenge, passing game coordinator.
Sure.
That's the job, is finding those explosives. As you have, I know pads are not, but as you've kind of looked at the personnel you've had, how much have you enjoyed, I guess, the puzzle aspect of manufacturing those explosive plays with a new personnel grouping?
Yeah, it's and we'll just give Josh some credit where credit is due to begin with. Josh and Jared played together a long time, and Josh was an invaluable member of the team the last couple of years, and of course he's going to be missed, as Ben mentioned. He was a good part of the offense and very explosive. But we've got some players here that are looking to jump into that role, and there's no lack of ability. I think just some time on task with these guys. We've had some really good experience this spring, getting their feet wet, and seeing who's going to rise to the occasion. And once we get into the game plans and the season next year, it'll be really fun. Just trying to figure out how we can get the guys and really highlight their abilities and what they can do. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be good.
You got a guy like Peoples Jones who has a full off season now with the team, and able to practice and be with Jared. How do you see him stepping up and taking that role?
Yeah, he's one of those guys that's going to be in there, entrenched in the battle for that, and he showed up last year. I know we had late in the season or in the middle of the season, and he had a couple of explosive plays. One I can know was against Chicago with a big body catch on that in cut on the backside. I think it was on a third down play. So he's again a big target that has the ability to get vertically down the field and be a presence in the middle of the field. So it'll be really good for him to continue to challenge and show us what he can do this fall. Absolutely.
I want to ask about Hendon. I know you're not working with him maybe as closely as Mark or JT, but
sure.
Just the growth that you've seen from him, and maybe also like how much development he still has. Maybe also the right, he's young, how fast the game moves. But where have you seen him come from to where he is now? How much smart is he?
Yeah, I think what he does is he comes out every day with the mindset of improvement, and I think he does that. He's shown drastic improvement, I think, from the day one of OTAs, or really call it phase 1 or phase 2 when we were just out here throwing routes on air, to where he's at now. And it'll be fun to see him out here as the only guy out here today. But he's shown drastic improvement, whether it's accuracy or just feeling comfortable calling the plays, whatever that may be. He's continuing to develop, and he's on the right path.
I was just saying, Mark talked a little bit about his footwork. What did you guys do specifically with his footwork?
Really, it's just getting him engulfed in the footwork at which we want the quarterback to play within the passing game, within the system. He comes from a different system at Tennessee in college, where really he was almost standing still, almost like sitting in cement at times, where there was no movement going on and he's just waiting. Where now things are in rhythm, in timing. The routes should be coming open at a specific time in his drop, and the ball needs to be thrown at those times. So for him to really have that where he's not having to think about what drop I'm taking, it's just naturally flowing. I'm in this drop, this is the concept, boom, 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 and we can get rid of the ball on time and in rhythm. So I think just as that becomes second nature to him, you'll continue to see the improvement there, for sure.
New young receivers, Williams, Davis, guys that are out there making plays with the opportunities that they have. But what's the process for you and Ben when you've got these guys? Maybe you know something about them, what the tape says or what the metrics say, but how do you go about getting a feel for what they do through this process to bringing that into training camp and seeing whether they can help you this year?
Yeah, I think we had you have a good feel for what they might have, the skill set they might have, but then you get them onto the grass, and then you really start to understand who they are. Where are they at in the learning curve in the offense, and then really what kind of route tree do they really have? You might assume that Isaiah might have more of an F or a slot skill set. Well, can he be a choice route runner for us? Well, let's give him those opportunities to see if he can do that. you know. And you said Caden, right?
Yeah.
And again, he showed up on the rookie mini camp, right? And showed that he has the ability to get down the field. He's got great stride length. And so really, what does that translate to for him as far as what route tree do we think that he could have for us? You know, is it the in cuts at 20 yards? Can he win on a slant because he's a little bit of a bigger guy? Can he win on a shoot? We saw him win on a back shoulder fade down here in the red zone the other day. And again, you know, that's a guy that's kind of shown up, and he's popped in each of these practices for a play or two, you know? So it's been really good to see his development and really see what he can do.
What ways have you noticed the continuity of the staff kind of play out this offseason in particular?
I think it's been fantastic because, you know, again, as coaches, you're always coaching, but last year there was a lot of coaching the coaches because they were new. This year, we all know everybody's on the same page. We all know what we're doing. We're able to jump into year 3 in the offense and not necessarily being not dragged, but bringing along slowly as we're teaching the players and the coaches. Now the coaches are coaching the players as we go, and everybody's really on the same page in continuity, understanding why we're doing things, what are the details, where do we need to be. And so I think that's been a huge advantage for us this spring, for sure.
Are you taking on any new responsibilities this year, just adding to your plate as you expand your coaching profile?
I think it's going to be very similar to last year. You know, be pretty, I think, fairly status quo. You know, it'll be a lot of the same stuff.
I forget if it was Ben or Dan, but somebody the other week was talking about, you know, college coaches coming in and they're taking stuff from you guys and you from them. I know some of the college coaches have talked about that in Texas and Michigan State. Can you share a little bit just about that process? Like, how much do you gain from when a high school or college coach comes in? You know, and they have these concepts that, you know, really start, I guess, at some of those levels.
Sure, I just it's a matter of, you know, what can you take and what can you fit in, and then it's just good to have those guys around and just talk a little bit of a different perspective on things. You know, they may be doing something similar, but in just a little bit of a different way, and you kind of look at it and you go, okay, that's fairly unique for us, and maybe how can we incorporate that, or how might that, I guess, fit us, you know, a little bit. So it's pretty cool. It's good to see both sides of that stuff.
You see a lot of that. I mean, even when you were in college, like a lot of the concepts starting at the younger levels and then trickling up in some ways.
There's some of that stuff. You know, it all depends on, you know, what system that is in the college stuff. You know, you're always you see some of the quote spread stuff kind of come up, but again, we also have some of the other, you know, quote pro stuff or that we do. You know, there's a little more play action here at this level that we do that maybe you don't necessarily see. Maybe they take that from us, or maybe we see a gun run, you know, that we might want to study because we're in the gun, you know, on base downs a little bit as well. Maybe that's something we can take from it, you know. So, yeah, that's pretty cool to talk about that stuff.
I think one of the coolest things about Ben is his just eagerness to learn, and every time he gets a new coach on the staff, he's just so excited to pick that coach's brain and start incorporating elements maybe he didn't previously consider. I'm wondering, as your career does develop in the way that the trajectory is on, Scotty Montgomery just seems like such a valuable resource to round out your offensive knowledge with his depth of run game. So I was just wondering, what has Scotty meant to you? What kind of relationship have you formed with him over the years in terms of picking his brain and understanding run game stuff?
Yeah, Scotty and I have a really good relationship. It's been awesome. Our offices are right next to each other, so you'll hear us down the hall, hey, Scotty, you know, or whatever it may be, so that we are able to just go next door and bounce things off of each other, ask him his perspective on something. Shoot, it might even be personnel driven. You know, he's been in that head coach seat previously, and he's been around in a lot of different places and in different buildings, and how he sees things, or just how he's done stuff, like you said, in the run game, how that might fit in, or even pass game. Like Scotty knows the pass game now too, you know, and so it's he's been a wealth of knowledge, and he's a great guy, and like I enjoy coming to work with him every single day. It's been awesome with him to have him around.
Thank you, Tanner.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely.
Appreciate
You got
it.
it, guys.